And welcome back to the Morning Drill. Joining us this morning, some folks from Northwestern Rural Electric Cooperative. It's Linda King and a very special guest. Good morning, guys. Welcome to the program this morning.
Good morning.
Linda, who'd you bring in with you?
Well, I'm pleased to introduce our new president and CEO, Bill Buchanan.
Hi, Bill.
How are you doing?
I'm great, thanks. Thanks for joining us this morning.
Thanks for having us.
Listen, this is the first time you guys have been guests on the show. Let's learn a little bit about yourselves, and then let's learn a little about Northwestern REC. Linda, let's start with you. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay. I'm Vice President of Communications and Energy Solutions at Northwestern Rural Electric. I've been there for about 30 years, responsible for some of the electronic communications, the Smart Hub implementation, communicating, of course, with our members and annual meeting, anything outward facing with our members. Lots of things that we do at the co-op. We cover a 5-county territory. That's Erie, southern part of Erie County, all of Crawford County, a little bit in Lawrence and Mercer County, Warren County, and about 72 members over in Ashtabula County, Ohio.
And they're the ones that cause the problems, right? It's the select few there, right?
That's right. But we serve in the rural areas, so any town in the inner city limits, we do not serve. We have about 8 members per mile that we serve.
Wow. And we'll get into that in a little bit, just the rural aspect of it, because I'm sure there's some challenges there. Bill, how about you? Tell us a little bit about yourself.
So as far as my background, I've been at Northwestern for 3 days. This is actually day 4. So.
Nice, yes.
But my background, I come from rural West Central Illinois. That's where I've been the last 13 plus years, and it's actually come from the cooperative environment, just like Northwestern, except instead of a rural electric, it was a rural telecommunications and broadband provider. So a lot of similar things. We served, towns and the farms and ranches within our footprint, and a little more, very similar in size to Northwestern, but less customers. We had about 3.5 per square mile instead of 8.
What was the weather like?
Very similar to this.
Okay.
Very, very similar. We have a lot of kind of 2 kinds of territories: real flat farm ground, and so we get a lot of wind, and then we have some rolling hills and timber, very similar to a lot of areas in this part of the country.
Linda, what would folks be surprised to know about Northwestern REC and the members you serve?
Probably how tech savvy we are, how we utilize technology to avoid power outage situations for our members. We've avoided over 1 million outage minutes, I should say, for members just in the last year by using SCADA equipment to reroute power, if you will, when there's like a line down. Our linemen are able to work with our engineering department to do that, so the linemen can repair on that line safely, but still allow those members to have power.
What sort of challenges do you guys face being in that rural setting compared to, as you were saying, like in town, where I'm sure everything is sort of together? You're talking about large spaces of emptiness almost to have to kind of maintain.
You want me to take that one?
Yeah, go ahead.
In like anything,
look at Bill, just get right into it.
Anything
right.
rural, I'll just jump right in here. Anything because infrastructure is infrastructure. So that's why, I mean, whether it be electric, whether it be broadband, TV, it doesn't matter what the infrastructure is. It's the cost. It's the cost to construct it. It's the cost per square mile, and you break that out per member or per customer. What a lot of people would say, it becomes such an inflated cost because of we have the same amount of, takes the same amount of labor, the same amount of equipment, same amount of lines, but you're serving a lot less people. So just density is a big hurdle and a big factor. So we have to do it. We just have to do it as efficiently as we can.
Energy is obviously such a big topic. How has your industry changed in the last 10, 15 years?
Well, electric competition pushed us to change a little bit. The beauty of telling the co-op story with that relevancy is the fact that none of our members opted to shop for their electricity. So as a result of that, we actually don't have to compete in that realm any longer. The reason they didn't shop, obviously, was that our rate was lower and is still lower than the local investor-owned, as well as the alternative power providers in the area. So it's a great story to tell that we have less customers per mile. We have, on average, about $13,300 in revenue per mile of line, versus the investor-owns on a national average have about $72,000 in revenue per mile and 32 customers per mile. So, and we can still deliver that power at a lower rate.
Another big change is just the production alone and where the renewables come into play, and our as cooperatives, not just at Northwestern, but all around the country. The rural electric cooperatives own bigger cooperatives, which are their G&Ts, or their generation and transmission cooperatives, and just the portfolio of how their power production portfolio looks has changed a lot, and a lot more renewables, a lot more wind, a lot more solar, and I think that's something that will obviously continue.
In terms of that aspect of it, are you finding wind, solar, are those improving year after year, or do they still have the same issues?
I think that a lot of those issues stay the same, and again, you run into a lot of those things are geographic. I mean,
right.
You're probably in this area, solar's not all that great. I think the sun has not shined since I've been here, so I don't think that's probably a really good good play, but like where I lived before, we had with the farm ground just such constant wind, and it was flat, and so in that particular area, wind farms were growing pretty rapidly, and it didn't have a real impact on the farm ground. So we had really fertile farm ground, and with the wind, they could kind of coexist. The ag and the production, the generation could exist together. So,
how much of the day-to-day is looking ahead in the future and seeing how technology is changing?
I think, it's kind of funny, we were talking about that a little bit on the way over here. We always look ahead, and technology is a driving factor of everything we do. It makes us more efficient. I think sometimes it makes us more efficient. Most of the time it does. Sometimes it doesn't. But
you lose this, don't you?
As long as things are working, yeah, we can be more efficient. I would say the real key is not to get totally stuck on looking at the future and the technology and where it's going, but more so sometimes looking back and say, where has it been? Where have we been? What are our roots? And for me, what I'm trying to learn right now is just our history, because historically, our perspective brings a lot of value to where we need to go and how to get there. So.
Linda, I'm just thinking back at the time when, because obviously we're in an area where agriculture is very big, but it's not the same agriculture that we knew, a decade ago. Technology is creeping into farms, and the use of drones and technology, and people having servers to maintain certain things. I would imagine it's extremely important now more than ever that those folks, those customers, continue to get that power to maintain their technology.
Yeah. I remember, 30 years ago when I first started at the co-op, we would still sometimes get postcards or letters from members saying, oh, by the way, my power's out. And you wouldn't think that, but we did. And now, I manage the social media aspect of the webpage and Facebook when we have power outages, and people's expectations have certainly changed, and that's part of us integrating that SCADA system that I talked about earlier and trying to avoid those outages and before they ever impact the members, or it's a blink instead of an hour outage. But yeah, the expectations of the consumers have changed.
And there's so much more. There's so many other elements to it now. The mobile devices and the things that get powered at the farms and at households. I mean, people are starting businesses or doing online businesses, and not just in the city, but
Yeah.
on a farm or out in the country. So it's important to maintain those services to those folks, isn't it?
Right. Yeah, we have a lot of telecommuters in the rural area, and that's certainly grown and become a more viable option for folks as they have the capability for fast internet service. And that's something, too, that our board is cognizant of and looking at it, not necessarily for our cooperative to do, but how we can maybe facilitate that for our members.
Now, obviously, this would change depending on the situation, but the times of getting power back up, if there's a weather event or something major that's going on, I would imagine those times have decreased dramatically over the years.
They have. It's funny because before, when there was a power outage, we would all come into the office and man the office, switch the phones over. We'd all be sitting there with pen and paper taking outage calls. Today, I do it from the comfort of my home. Hopefully my power's on. But I look on my phone through an app that all the employees have. I can see where our trucks are, how many linemen are out, where the outages, and what's going on, and don't even have to go into the office. We still communicate with everyone, but it's just different.
Is this a side where you hear from the customers more when there's an issue? So we end up talking about this as opposed to, hey, most of the time, everything's great, right? People have their power and there's no issues, but they don't really think about that, do they?
In my role and in the past, I've always said it's funny. I don't really get to interface as much with the members until somebody's upset. That's usually when they get to the point that they're so upset they get to me. There's usually a pretty big problem. But you know, it is a fun opportunity to get to, you know, again in the smaller communities, to get out and meet people and be able to interface with them at that level and communicate with them. But yeah, there's just so many different ways to do it today, and the social media aspect of it is, you know, it's even outside of my realm. So
you're watching the Morning Drill on Stream Television at Armstrong and listening to it on the Allegheny News Talk Sports Network. Linda, so if people are watching or listening and they go, boy, that sounds fantastic, I'd love to get more information. Obviously, you have to be within the coverage area, correct?
Right. Folks, to be a member of Northwestern REC, you have to live within our territory, and that's on our website at northwesternrec.coop, or members can actually get on our website and chat with us if you're not sure you're in our territory or if you're looking to build a new home. We always love to have new members come on the lines, and we're happy to help as far as trying to figure out the cost of installing the line, what kind of heating system would be most efficient. Not necessarily always electric, but electric heat pumps are a great option today.
And I noticed on the website you have a tab for co-op programs, and there's heating and cooling, water heater service, energy efficiency. I mean, there's a lot of great information here.
There is, and we actually have Ryan Dubé. He's our certified energy auditor at the co-op, and he will go out to members' homes. For example, this time of the year, if you see icicles on your home or your business, that's a clear sign of money going out where it shouldn't.
Oh.
So Ryan has the proper equipment to come in and help members figure out how to fix that. So if you're going to do some insulating, point people in the right direction of how to best spend those dollars.
When you have a situation where it's negative 40 degrees, did you miss that, Bill?
no, I was actually stuck in Detroit.
Okay. So you got to feel some of that.
I think we only hit negative 38 back in Illinois, but yeah.
What does that do to the system? Does that change anything? Do you guys kick into special gear or anything when it comes to temperatures like that?
I'll let you go ahead and answer that.
Yeah. We always talk, we'll tailgate. For example, with our load control program, with our water heaters, 45% of our members are on that program, and that's where we manage the water heater for the member. And during peak, free water heater, and we provide 24/7 service as well. So when power is peaking, for example, a very cold day or a very hot day, our G&T down in Harrisburg, Allegheny Electric Co-op, they manage all of the water heaters in the state that are on that program at the other 13 electric co-ops as well. And they will reduce the energy use of those water heaters during those peak times. But we knew well in advance that that was going to be a very long peak time. And we're talking days ahead of that, how to manage that for our members so they didn't run out of water or hot water and electric heat as well.
Did you get a lot of phone calls leading up to that? Because
No.
there was a lot of information thrown out there, like, oh, you have to turn your thermostat up, by 5 degrees or whatever. I mean, there was just a lot of things thrown out. And I didn't know if that confused anybody or if everybody just said, hey, you know what? We live here. We've dealt with this before.
I was just gonna say, I think probably most people in at least in our territory probably are just, it's kind of, they've been there, done that kind of a thing. So
now you mentioned that they could call if they want to maybe get somebody to come out to the house just to kind of take a look. How long is that process before they would get information back, seeing maybe some adjustments that would have to be made?
They would get the results that day.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Yeah, Ryan's pretty tech savvy, speaking of technology, and
Yeah.
he has a infrared camera that he goes through the house, and that even helps find water damage for members. He's done that before. We had one member in particular, I remember, they built a brand new house, put in electric heat, a great efficient system, same one I have in my house, and I never had a lick of trouble with mine. And this member was just, their bill was more than we thought it should have been. So Ryan went in and found an area in the home where there was just you call it a chimney, how the home was built, there was just hot air going up into the attic, a very great deal of it. So he helped the member understand how to fix that, and now we have a very happy member. So.
Now, you bring up an interesting point. In going to the website, can folks log in and check their account and see usage and all that? How does that work?
Do you want to talk?
That's in Linda's area, but it's the Smart Hub program through our automated system, and I'll let her talk about it more because I know about it, but I don't even know how to make it work. So
Sure.
It's really an interesting concept to show that. And back in 2002, when we put our electronic meters out on our system with our automated metering infrastructure, we have the capability now to show members down to the hour of how much electricity they're using.
Wow.
So when you think about when you get your electric bill, normally it's 30 days after you use that energy. And I remember I even do it. I had a family reunion at my house and had umpteen campers plugged into my home. And 30 days later, I said, Ryan, why is my bill so high? And I got chastised for that, but we got into the Smart Hub and I could see, yep, it was that annual meeting weekend, or not annual meeting weekend, but family reunion weekend. And that's what drove my bill high. And now one of the things that we're going to be launching in June is a new bill format, because, the app isn't for everybody. So we're going to be able to take that same hourly or daily usage information from Smart Hub and put that on the paper bill for members so they can still, a lot of people aren't comfortable doing that. So this is a way to take that same information and the value of what they're getting to the paper bill.
And you're probably like, okay, Uncle Bill. Nope, not inviting him next year. Too much power.
How did you know I had an Uncle Bill?
Again, the website, great resource, though, for a lot of things. Under community, there's some great information there. Scholarships, what's that about?
Mm-hmm. I can speak to the scholarships. So, and the reason I can is because we were involved in those even in our cooperative back in Illinois. The National Association has they call it it's called the Youth to Washington Tour, and kids can participate in Youth to Washington, and through that there are scholarships available. We probably have some local scholarships too, or is it just the national ones that they compete for?
No, we send usually about 10 to 13 students.
So
Wow.
So we had it. We did about the same thing. We sent, I think, 8 or 9, and then they would go, and then they would compete for national scholarships. Across our system anyway. I don't know if it's the same for Northwestern, but our system, they would compete with some other companies nationally for some scholarships, and it was a really great program. And in my time there, we had three recipients of a national scholarship, which were all very, very good scholarships.
That's wonderful. And I see teacher grants on there as well.
Yes.
Look at that.
I love these programs, and that's a way for us to help teachers. Amy Wellington is responsible for that at the co-op. So if there's any teachers listening, please contact Amy Wellington at the co-op. But they can apply for teacher grants in the spring and in the fall, and that will help them. There's a lot of things in the classroom that the teachers spend honestly out of pocket, and this is a way to help those teachers do more for their students.
Powering your classrooms and powering your teachers. So
That's right.
thank you guys. And that's probably another huge aspect to the cooperative, isn't it? It's cooperative. It's the community. And you guys serve a lot of communities. And hey, we thank you for coming in this morning. If folks have any questions, they want to learn more, they can go to the website?
Yep. Go to the website, or you can click to chat with us, or give us a call at 800-352-0014.
Bill, Linda, good to see you this morning.
Appreciate it.
Thanks
Thank
for your
you very
time.
much.
Good luck with everything.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
You guys will have to come back and keep us posted on some of the things you guys are working on.
Yeah,
Lots of
sounds
great
good.
things.
Good.
All right, thanks,
Thanks.
guys. The Morning Joe will continue right after this.
Acting on my duty, stepping off that straight line. Now I just sit, but my front door filled with indolence and sound.